So I do want to take a moment and take a look at my board really quickly. I'm going to condense what you should know about the Industrial Revolution. I'm going to read it out to you, but you should write down the impact of industrialization on your notes. If I took the time to write it down, guess what you should probably do? Write it down. There you go. Look at that. I'm putting those two pieces together. So the impact of industrialization, it's going to increase population and decreases fertility. Okay, so the population is going to be booming. There are more people on the planet, but families are having less kids. How many kids is the average household now going to start having now that industrialization has occurred? 2. Guess what? How many kids are in the average family here in the United States now? 2. It's all based on industrialization. So, like 12. Well, think about it. Well, like 6 probably. If you had a farm, do you want a lot of kids to help or 2 kids to help? The more kids you have, free labor, people. All right, increased food is a major thing. And what's the nickname of this whole new improvements on food, Tristan? Second agricultural revolution is going to kick in. Is it before the industrialization or after the industrialization? Is the second agricultural revolution happen before or after industrialization? Dylan? Happens just before, absolutely. Okay, what is one thing that happens during what is one thing that we talked about that happens during the agricultural revolution? Abby? Well, yes, but what are some of the things we create for the first time? What do you got? Munson?
I don't know what it is, but disposable income.
It creates disposable income, industrialization. What?
How
about enclosure movement? Seed drill. Yes? Okay. All right. People moving to cities looking for jobs, urbanization. You're also going to have a mass migration to what country? United States. Absolutely. So we're going to have people moving to cities looking for jobs. Urbanization is what that's called when you're moving to a city. We're also going to have mass migration in the United States. People have more opportunities to improve your position. Shorter lives are going to be caused by diseases and poor working conditions. So for the first time, life expectancy is going to grow, and then it's going to plummet because of industrialization. Will that eventually fix itself? Yes, with the social reforms we're doing next week. Industrial powers equal world powers. So if you're an industrialized country, you're going to be a world power. Okay? Why? Guys, what gives countries power? Money. Okay? And why do they get to have all the money? What did they originally have to start with? The resources. There you go. All right. Family dynamics are going to change. It's going to break up families. So family dynamics are going to completely change. For instance, women are no longer just sitting at home. Now women can be the bread earners, which is pretty cool. Okay? But don't worry, ladies. If you're going to work for 14 hours, you still got to come home, make dinner, do dishes, do laundry. You know. Men aren't doing that. Children and women are working in factories. Those are going to be the most common. Why are children and women going to be the most common, Jamal?
Because they're cheaper and more expensive.
Yes, absolutely. They're so much cheaper. Absolutely. And industrialization needs iron ore and coal and all of your fossil fuels. So we're going to need oil and all of those different types of things, and that's going to create a huge need, which is going to be filled by taking over countries and demanding changes. Sounds good? All right, so the Americas. I'm going to go back to my board. Believe me, I'm going to go through and read it for you. But I do want to cover my Americas quickly. So, which is so sad because I really do love the Americas, but we are going to skip a ton. So that's really unfortunate. So, the Americas, first of all, just listen. I'm going to tell you exactly what you need, okay? So, we're going to have the fact that Britain and obviously the United States aren't going through great times, correct? We just had the American Revolution. Things aren't going well. We literally stole factory information to create our own industrial revolution. They're a little sour at us. Okay, Napoleon Bonaparte is going to sell the Louisiana Purchase to us. We're going to double our size, which we saw. And we got Lewis and Clark are going to go wandering around up there and see some really cool things. And this whole idea called Manifest Destiny, which you better write down. Now, Manifest Destiny is the belief, and write this down, is the belief the U.S. had the right to take the entire continent. You got to appreciate the American spirit. Can Can we just for a second? Okay? We believe we have the right that if we can touch it, it's ours. Oh, and we really believe that. Absolutely. Okay? Manifest destiny is going to be our justification for doing what? Trail of Tears is going to be a big one that's going to come out of this. What else? Expansion, correct? We don't own Oregon. We don't control Wyoming. We don't have any of that. Okay? Right now we have a bunch of natives out there. Guess what we're going to do to them? Clear them out. Okay? Because we have the right to the land. It's a huge movement. We're going to really talk about that. I think we can all agree the natives aren't going to do well under this manifest destiny. Okay? The U.S. Indian Removal Act of 1830, okay, is going to drive natives into Indian territory, which is what we call Oklahoma today. The most famous one, of course, is the Cherokee and the Trail of Tears. Natives were forced off their land in southeast U.S. and forced to Oklahoma. Okay? Thousands are going to die. Who is the president doing this? Andrew Jackson, which was really ironic that when Trump was honoring those Native Americans, the code talkers for World War II, he did it in front of whose portrait? Andrew Jackson. So whether you like Trump or not, you can agree it's probably not the best optics, correct? Okay, so Indian removal is going to be the Cherokees, of course. The Seminoles are going to run into the marshes here in Florida, okay? And they're going to hide there for a while. Are the Seminoles still in Florida? Yeah, it's because they ran into, what's that marshland called? What do we call it? The Everglades. And they were really good at defending them and killing off white people. And also, mosquitoes kill off a lot of white people. So there wasn't a ton of people in Florida until the 1920s, by the way. So it was pretty easy for them, well, easier than, say, obviously the Cherokee. Okay, we're going to have some armed conflicts and stuff like that. I think we can agree. Just listen. The natives are going to fight back. If you think for 2 seconds the natives are giving up their land peacefully, you're completely delusional. They're going to be fighting back. Of course, we have major conflicts. There's a new Christian Bale movie coming out called Hostile. It looks boss, and I'm so excited. It was completely made with the support of the native tribe that it's based on. It's a true story. It looks amazing. Check it out. Anyway, when we have it, it's really important that you understand after the Civil War, all of our troops and soldiers who were like so bloodthirsty for killing in war, where did they go? They went west. Okay, and that's where they went. Of course, Wounded Knee. Okay, we're gonna have some major, massive wipeout. So Mexican Indian War, Mexican American War. Please write it down. U.S. is going to claim Texas. Okay, Mexican-American War. We're going to get Texas, California, and New Mexico. Okay, so we're going to get those 3 things. It's a major land grab for us. Not the best terms, but pretty good. It's good for us, obviously, not for them. All right, sectional conflict. So here we are. So causes. So I'm going to switch over here. Please listen. So the Americas, we got the U.S. Civil War causes. You're going to want to write that down. So on my board, you're going to want it down. U.S. Civil War causes / reasons for North victory. By the way, the North wins. I had a kid last year swear the South won. I'm not even kidding. I wish I could kid about that. He had literally believed the South won. So, 90% of U.S. industry is located where? North or south? Who can raise your hand and tell me why it's in the north, not in the south? We talked about it earlier this week. What do you got, Alex?
Yeah, fast-flowing rivers.
Fast-flowing rivers. The south has slow-moving ones. And why wasn't the south really interested in industrialization? Dylan?
The South already has their plantation.
Oh, yeah, they already have their economy booming. 2/3 of railroads are in the north. Why are railroads a big thing in a war? Who can raise your hand and tell me why railroads are super important in a war? Munson.
Ease of transportation.
Ease of transportation for what? You're completely right, but for what? Guns, absolutely. Faster moving of guns. What else does it make it easier to move? Tristan. Christian. I don't know what happened.
For troops that way you don't have to march across states.
Absolutely, unless you're going through Georgia and then you just burn everything behind you, but that's a reference to something else. Okay, so troops, you're also moving food, which is a big thing, right? You can't fight if you don't have food. Obviously, all your support. Morality. Morality. What side had the morality on their side? What side had morality? Jamel?
The North.
The North. Why?
Because they were slaves.
Well, no, they wanted the Emancipation Proclamation, right? They were going to free the slaves. So all of a sudden, I am morally superior than you are because I am freeing the slaves, and look at you, you're a slaver, which is in the Bible. You shouldn't be slaving, correct? However, they justified it and all that stuff. So they were the morally right, is the North, and then they have a larger population. Why did the North? I say we. Sorry. Why did the North have a larger population? Christian.
Since there are more cities, more densely populated.
So do you know what the Union Army did? Is we would stand on all the major ports in New York, Boston, all that stuff, and we would say, we will give you 15 acres of land if you fight in the Civil War. So all these poor people are coming across, and they're like, 15 acres of land? All I gotta do is fight for 2 years? Hell yeah. Well, guess what we did with those people? They come off the ship, they have no experience, okay? We feed them a couple meals, we dress them in a uniform, and where do we put them? The front lines. The front lines. Why would we put them in the front lines? So they can die, so guess what we don't have to do? My husband is a very proud Virginian, okay? He would like me, every time I teach it, he's like, you better tell that the average the average Southern soldier has a 15-to-1 ratio of shooting and killing during the American Civil War. Who was better prepared for war, the South or the North? The South. Do you know where most of our American service men and women come from in 2018? The South. Who was better trained for the military and for the war? The South. So, the South, it's wealthier than the North. Why is it wealthier than the North in percentages? Why? Patrick? They have cotton, of course. There's actually not that many people living in the South. Okay? You don't count slaves, obviously. Slaves are off. There's not that many white people that live in the South. That's why it's a wealthier population. Less people, more money. They have better generals. Of course, who is the best general? Who is it, Dylan? Robert E. Lee. Robert E. Lee went to West Point, which is part of the United States. He eventually broke off and defended the South, of course, which has caused plenty of chaos in Charlottesville this past year. And when they have better soldiers, why are they better soldiers? Because they're better trained. Why are they better trained? They have a higher military percentage in the South than in the North. I'm a Northern girl, born and raised in Massachusetts, my whole family. I'm the first person to not live in Massachusetts. I have no military family members, except during World War II, when we were drafting, which makes sense, correct? Just the military tradition is not a Northern thing, it's a Southern thing. Very proud Southern thing, so keep that in mind. Okay, so the causes of the war. First of all, it's fought over states' rights. You need to understand the Civil War is fought over states' rights. Who has power, the states or the federal government? Can a state make a decision and the federal government can't intervene? Okay, what obviously were they fighting over with the states' rights component? Slavery. The federal government wanted no more slavery. 14 states wanted slavery. Then this is how we create the states' rights component. Does that make sense? Technically, under the Constitution, a state has the right to impose a law that the federal government may not agree. Obviously, we've abridged that post-Civil War, so we don't have this problem again. The issue they fought over was slavery, of course, and was it a state's right to have it or not? Okay, they tried doing the Missouri Compromise, which kept slave states and free states balanced, but eventually it was going to tip and it was about to explode. The election of Lincoln is also a huge cause of the war. Now, who can tell me, did Lincoln always believe in freeing the slaves? Raise your hand, yes or no? Gunner? No, he didn't. Why?
Because didn't his family own slaves?
No. Don't ruin my man's reputation. Lincoln?
You're teaching us right now about how he didn't want to free the slaves.
No, he didn't want to free the slaves. Why did he want to free the slaves? Guys, think about it. What's the entire Southern economy based on?
Fine.
Cotton. So, what happens if you take slaves away?
Economy goes down.
Yeah, look at the Southern economy today in 2018. Is it as good as the Northern one? Most of you, if you're going to get big, high-paying jobs, you're going to stay in the South or you're going to move north? You're going to move north, absolutely. So, with the abolition of slavery, whose economy is going to be completely destroyed? The Southern one, absolutely. The poorest states in the Union are in the South in 2018. The poorest schools are in the... There you go. Why? Because we destroyed their economy by freeing the slaves. That's why. Abe Lincoln knew that. He knew that if we were going to take away slavery, everything in the South would change. Was he right? However, the war was dragging on longer than he was expecting. Everyone thought they were going to go to war for like 6 months, kill a bunch of people, and go back home. Lasted 4 years. And the Emancipation Proclamation was issued in year 3. And the reason why he issued it is not because all of a sudden he's like, oh my God, we got to free the South. It's because he wanted to give his men a moral reason to keep fighting. Yes, keep fighting. This is going on longer than we wanted. It is the deadliest war in history up until World War I, which will then obviously be blown out of the water by World War II. So we're going to see that's going to have a change. Is that it? No, I know. Oh, thank God. Thank you. Yay, air conditioning's coming. All right, so, and 2 different economies. Obviously, we have the Southern economy, we have the Northern economy. Obviously, Lincoln is correct. Lincoln didn't want to punish the South after the Civil War. He wanted to be much friendlier, kind of ease them out of this whole economy because he knew it would completely destroy. After the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, did the North have any tolerance for the South? Which is why we have a bunch of carpetbaggers, why we have this completely devastating economy, while the North strips the South of all of its wealth. Which is why when I met McCrae's grandmother, who's a very proud Southern woman, she said, she calls me the Northerner. She calls me the Northerner, I think with a loving tone. And she calls me the Yankee. I got a really passive-aggressive gift my first Christmas. It's from it's a famous quote that says Southern women are much more intelligent and articulate than those Northern women. It was great. The war is still fighting, I guess. Here we go. All right, so, fought over states' rights, and of course. So slavery was reinvigorated with what invention? Car engine. So when the American Civil War is happening right up to it, that's the South is making more money than it's ever had. So do you think they're going to be easily give up their slaves, or they're going to hold on to it even more? They're going to hold on to it even more, absolutely. Because at this point, they're finally starting to make tons and tons of money. They're not going to want to give it up easily. All right, so major movements. Of course, we have unification. We have Bismarck is going to unify Germany, which you should know by now, but it's just a friendly reminder. And then you have Count Camillo Cavour is going to unify Italy. These names should be pretty familiar, yes? Alright, and I'm going to stop right there for a sec. Alright, to the boards. Here we go. Let's review a couple things. On your whiteboard, please tell me what native tribe is in the Trail of Tears. What native tribe is in the Trail of Tears, by the way? Good. What is it? Come on, I got 3, 4. What? Audie, that is like the most interesting spelling. It's so phonetic. Is that? Oh, it looks like you have like a U in there. Oh, okay, got it. That makes a lot more sense. I was like, damn, it's so phonetic. All right, what do you got, Bronson?
Cherokee.
Cherokee, on your whiteboard, please tell me, what is it called when the United States believed they had the right, which gave them the confidence to take land, move the natives away, which was the justification for so many things. Like what? What do you got, Walker?
Manifest Destiny.
Manifest Destiny. On your whiteboard, please. Oh, you need to write down Civil War. When you wrote down the causes of Civil War, you need to write 1861, 1865. When you were starting to write about the Civil War, you need to write down 1861 to 1865. Okay. Fort Sumner is the first battle of Civil War, and of course, does anyone know the last battle? Starts with an A.
Appomattox?
No, that's actually where they signed the treaty down.
Right.
It's Antietam. It's the second battle at Antietam, and the Appomattox is where they actually signed. the treaty. On your whiteboard, please tell me what is the big cause of the American Civil War is what? Be careful. Don't get caught up into it. You're an AP World student. What is the big problem? What is it? Gunner.
States' rights.
States' rights is the issue. What topic is going to bring up the issue of states' rights? Which is what they're fighting over. Good. Tristan.
Slavery.
Slavery. On your whiteboard, please tell me what is. Give me two reasons why the North wins. And hopefully you knew that. Good. What do you got? Malu.
Railroads and larger population.
There you go. What else could you have said, Bronson?
90% of industry.
90% of industry. What else could you have said, Walker? Why did the North win? They're morally right, correct? There you go. All right, here we go. I want to make sure I get through everything I need to. So, reunification of Bismarck in Germany, Count Camillo Cavour in Italy. These things are happening. Simon Bolivar, he's not officially gone. I know we tried killing him off. We killed him off last week. But you need to know that there is an impact here. So he disrupts world trade with his revolutions. I think we can agree, correct? What country does he ruin their power? Spain. Okay, so Spain is losing a lot of money because of Simon Bolivar. Okay, one of his famous quotes is, "I fear peace more than war." Was he accurate in that statement? He's incredibly accurate in this statement. Who can raise your hand and tell me why "I fear peace more than war" is an incredibly accurate statement? Hello, what happens in Latin America after the revolutions? Is it peaceful or is it completely chaotic? It's okay. Well, hello, when we look at South America today, are we like, damn, South America, you got it all going? Or do we think, damn, South America, you're a mess? You're a mess, absolutely. I just saw this weekend a tourist commercial for Colombia. When we think Colombia, what is the first thing we think of? Cocaine, absolutely. It's the largest export out of Colombia. Like, no joke. It really is. Why is Colombia a hot mess and why is the drug trade booming there? It's because they've had political turmoil since the 1780s, which is only going to get worse, and other countries are going to mess it up. Benito Juarez, you're going to need to know his name. He is the leader of La Reforma and attempts to revolutionize Mexico in the 1850s. Okay, Benito Juarez is the leader of La Reforma and attempts to revolutionize Mexico in the 1850s. It's going to go pretty well. However, after the Mexican-American War, he's going to be assassinated and blamed for losing Texas, which is a very valuable part of Mexico. Okay, so Benito Juarez. Now, today, there is a newspaper in Mexico called La Reforma, which is trying to eradicate Mexican conspiracies as well as eradicate lazy government officials in Mexico. Why? Because Benito Juarez is actually one of the few good guys in Mexican history who is actually trying to help the people. He's considered a national hero. If you go to the Capitol building of Mexico, you will see a statue of him because he's like a big deal. He's like a good guy. He gets assassinated by his own people, obviously, but like he's a good guy. All right, Latin America. We have more problems, of course. The Creoles. Who can raise your hand and tell me what a Creole is made out of? What's a Creole made out of, Colton?
Non-native.
Nah, that's not true. Creoles are made of half of. What do you got, Patrick?
Half native, half Spanish.
Half native, half Spanish. So half white, half native. Okay? So when all the white people are either killed or they go back to Spain, guess who's in power? Creoles. Because why? They're half white. So the Creoles, who are half white and native, they're going to go on a little power trip. Okay? So after the Spanish are removed from Latin America, the Creoles are going to put themselves in a position of power. Okay? And they're going to stop the masses from participating in these new governments. Is this ideal or not ideal? Not ideal. So essentially what the Latin revolutions have done, if they've kicked out the actual Spanish people, but now we have a new elite class, and that's going to be the Creole elites are going to block masses from politics, creating more tension and conflict post-revolutionary. So instead of being controlled by far-away countries, now we have Creole elites. It's not going to go well. Because of the Creole elites who are going to be controlling politically, we have caudillos, I guess. Caudillos. These are regional military powers, okay, who are going to assume power because it's chaos. What does this sound like today? Do we not watch Narcos? Yeah, what does it sound like today? The drug cartels, correct? The cartels, yes? Have we heard of the Mexican cartel? Yes? They trace back to the caudillos. These people rise into power because they're really good at waging war and they're really good at killing people. Would you rather fall behind and pay attention to a corrupt government, or would you rather follow someone who can actually protect you? Hello? Protect you. So when you see all these like drug cartels and stuff like that, where do they come from? Who knew you could make a Narcos reference here in AP World? Huh. Wow. What a day. But these are your caudillos. Okay? Are they going to be good people? Probably not. But they're going to keep the peace, which is in quotes, please mind you. Okay? And they have no political stability. Why is there no political stability with the caudillos? Hello? Have any of you actually seen Narcos? Yeah, they're killing each other off all the damn time. Why are they killing each other off, Dylan? They want more power. If I'm a small regional caudillo and Zach is a small regional caudillo, guess what? If I kill Zach, guess what I take? All of his land. So now I'm a bigger deal. And then I'm going to come after Walker. And then I'm going to take Walker. I'm going to kill Walker and take his land. Now all of a sudden I'm a really big deal. And then I'm going after Patrick. Now I'm an even bigger deal. Now all of a sudden I'm controlling my own little country. There you go. So, communism. This is what people get confused at every single year. Please, please, please listen. You have been lied to, friends. You've been lied to. So, walk with me, don't get ahead of me. So you can get down the definition. So Karl Marx is your founder of communism, and he writes the book Communist Manifesto. You need to know that name. You need to know that name. You need to know the name of his book and the human being. Okay? He believed the proletariat, who are your working class people, would overthrow the factory owners because of the terrible working conditions. He believed that the working people would eventually kill the owners and take over the factory, and then everyone would work peacefully together and split all the profits equally. It's kind of a pretty... It makes a lot of sense. Can we agree? He wrote the Communist Manifesto in the 1850s. This is before any reforms have really started, and conditions during the Industrial Revolution are at their worst. So the idea of the working class killing the owners makes a lot of sense. Would you agree? When you're watching your children getting maimed and killed on a regular basis, you're working 14 hours a day for pretty much no money. You're working 6 days a week. There's no respite. If you cut off your hand at work and you cannot do anything else at work, you're just fired. And you have to pay for the fabric you ruined. There's no oops, there's no health care, there's none of that crap. You go to work, you get your paycheck, you go home, that's it. So it makes a lot of sense that he thought this, okay? It didn't happen. The proletariat never overthrew the factory owners. And it's not because the factory owners grew a conscience and said, oh my God, we should pay these people better. The reason is because the government started forcing reforms. We started having the, no child labor laws. You're welcome. All of you would be in a factory by now. Your parents would love to make a dime off of you. Okay? We have all these other things about air quality, 40-hour work week, 8-hour work days, overtime. All that stuff is all being led by the government. His prediction would have probably come true if it wasn't for government reform. Can we agree? Hello? Okay. Now this is where people always get confused. Please listen, because this is the foundation of the next 12 weeks. Okay? Because we have 12 more weeks of content. Isn't that crazy? Okay. This is true capitalism. You're going to want to draw it down, circle it, whatever you got to do. True capitalism is you get an idea, you produce that idea using population at low wage, because do you want to pay? So say, for instance, we start a t-shirt factory. Do we want to pay $30 for really nice t-shirts, or do we want to pay $10? $10, absolutely. So we get an idea, like we're going to make really funny t-shirts. So when we're buying our products and we're making our products, do we want to spend a lot of money or very little money? Hello? Very little money. So that way, when we charge, so I can make a shirt for $10, I'm going to sell it for $30. What is my profit? $20, right? So if I can make it for 10, sell it for 30, I'm making $20 a t-shirt. That's why I produce at the lowest percent. I gotta pay for workers, I gotta pay for raw materials, I gotta pay for creativity. Okay? So I get an idea, I produce it using the population at the lowest wage, okay? Then I sell it at the highest price. $10 shirt takes to make it, sell it for $30, I make a profit of $20. Who keeps that profit? The person who pays the creator or the builder of the idea. Okay, now I do have to pay my workers, but it's only $10, so essentially I have a $10 swing of profit every time a t-shirt sells. And that's maybe even $15, because probably about $5 to pay everyone. Okay, so when we're talking about, did you know our air's getting fixed today?
Oh, that's
They're
what I was
here. Yeah, they're here right now. I just got the call.
I love you're the bitch and I don't have to be.
Oh, you're welcome.
Nice.
I'm really good at it.
Sick of it.
I'm really good at it. And consistent.
Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. So, true capitalism, okay? Is this harsh system or kind system? It's very harsh. Think about it. So Christian is going to come up with a t-shirt idea about pickles. He's passionate about pickles. I don't know if you know, Christian's very passionate about pickles. No one else likes pickles, but he's going to invest his whole wealth of his whole family into this pickle t-shirt idea. Well, what happens if no one likes his pickle t-shirts? No one buys it, correct? Guess what happens to all of his wealth? It's gone. There's nothing you can do. But next time, Christian gets a little bit more money, and he decides to create t-shirts about toasters. I have no idea where these ideas are coming from. Okay? But Christian's also very passionate about toasters. Okay? He makes a bunch of t-shirts. Everyone loves his toaster t-shirts. Guess what happens? He's a millionaire. It's a very harsh system. You either make a lot of money, lose a lot of money. Think about how many businesses you've witnessed open and close here in South Tampa. When people lose a business, they're losing their finances. They're losing their homes, typically. That's why capitalism is really harsh. Which makes sense moving to socialism. Socialism is when the government takes over all natural resources and property, including businesses. Then the government distributes everything equally to all people. That's socialism. So, what is the most powerful entity in socialism? The state, the government. So the government controls everything. They control the coal mines, they control the fast food restaurants, they control what clothes you're wearing because they're controlling the production needs. Okay, so true socialism, the government controls everything and then they distribute it to the people. And the most important thing about it is government. Now think about it. If you were a leader of a government, are you going to want the same stuff that a teacher is having, or do you want nicer stuff? Nicer stuff. So do you think the system is actually fair? Do you think this system really works? No, because your elites are always going to want nicer stuff, correct? Nicer clothes, nicer homes, all those things. So this doesn't really work. True socialism doesn't really work. Can we agree? Because people are competitive, people like nice things. Okay? And then your third government framework is communism. Now, this is how Marx predicted communism would work. So, capitalism is going to fail. Okay? It's going to be overthrown because it's so harsh. Then socialism is going to be put into place, where the government is distributing everything to the people. And this is where communism kicks in. He believes that eventually the government is no longer needed because the people are just going to give things to people because we love each other and we care for each other and we want to make each other better. Do you think communism has never existed, ladies and gentlemen? First and foremost, because to be communist means you have no government. Okay, do we know of a country that has no government? We know some countries that have terrible governments, but do we have a country in the world that has no government? No, it has never existed in its purity. Yes? Does that make sense? Okay? To be communist means to have everyone completely equal. Do you think everyone wants to be equal to each other? Share the exact same things? Do you think human nature allows us to be communist? I don't think so. This whole process Karl Marx predicted would take hundreds of years. He believed that we are supposed to be socialists for about 400 or 500 years, and eventually after that we'll transition to communism. Okay, which kind of maybe 400 years of, everyone equal-ish, we stop caring. Okay, but that is communism. It has never ever existed. Now, when we have countries today that call themselves communist, like North Korea, communist, China's weird. China's weird. They have a capitalistic society and a socialist. They call themselves communists. Why would people call themselves communists instead of socialists?
Part 2.
Huh?
Part 2.
Because of part 2. It sounds really nice that everyone is equal and everyone loves each other and everyone cares about each other, correct? When you talk about socialism, it makes it very clear the most important entity in your society is what? Government. So, a lot of people call themselves communists because they want to portray this whole equality. I love you, you love me, we're all sharing in this, we're all living equal life. Do you think Kim Jong-un lives like a poor farmer in North Korea? No! Damn, hell no! Those people are straight up starving to death. Okay? That's why there's no way he's communist. He has to be socialist. But what sounds nicer? Communism, I think we can all agree, sounds like a really beautiful idea, correct? Everyone working the same farm together, everyone eating the same thing, eating at a big table. It sounds really beautiful, but in practice, I think we can agree it ain't happening for a very, 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 very long time. It has never existed. So when someone says, oh, they're communists, no, they're socialists. Have a good day! What up?
Because I forgot we didn't do the test or the vocab on Monday, so I just saw a blank column, so I did it out of